Hey guys, Jonathan here. I'm here with my friend Ben, and we're going to my friend Sonic's shop to check out my Lotus and drop off a few parts. He's got a lot of cool stuff there, so I'll show you. So you probably wouldn't be able to tell that there's a really sweet performance shop back up in here, given with all the random stuff outside and the file depot sign. But we got some cool stuff in there, and we'll check it out. There she is, my baby. Here with Michael. He's helping out at Sonic Motorsports. He's helping with the Lotus. I'm gonna let the camera go over to him so he can tell you guys about what happened.
What we saw during the supercharger teardown was that the drain bolt and the oil fill bolt was actually missing from the supercharger, and when we removed the nose cone, we saw that there was no oil or grease left in the supercharger to protect the bearings. So the outer nose cone bearing had completely failed, the ball cage was broken, and the balls were loose inside the nose cone, which led to a horrible noise. Luckily, the customer had a lot of common sense, and he knew when he heard this noise to stop right away, and that prevented major damage. You can see the inner bearing, although it is very sticky, it is actually still in one piece, and no large amount of steel shavings got into the supercharger gear housing. Luckily as well, the supercharger gear housing, the gears have no backlash. If you want to follow me, I can show you. So in order to test the seals on the supercharger to make sure they were still good, we filled the supercharger with some oil and we left it in here for a extended period of time. And as you can see, there was no oil on the ground under the supercharger. So over a period of 2 weeks, absolutely no oil leaked past the seals in the supercharger, which is a very good sign. It means the seals in the supercharger are still adequate to hold oil out from getting in the supercharger, and therefore going in the engine and depleting the oil in the gear housing, which keeps the supercharger in good condition. So in the case of this Lotus Elise, the supercharger is integrated with the intake manifold, and it's not possible to replace just the supercharger alone, so it was much more economical to rebuild the nose cone. During this assembly, we found it was pretty obvious the nose cone was more than likely rebuilt before, because there is a little bit of excess gasket maker, and the drain bolt was left loose, and that's not something you commonly see from the factory. The factory normally does a very good job assembling these units. So luckily the customer had enough sense to pull over as soon as this noise started happening, and so the damage was minimal on this car.
So this piece is the nose cone that goes on to the end right here. So if you can imagine this being placed right there, and that shaft that broke with the bearings was in here. This whole piece, this whole intake manifold and supercharger go in right there. And this whole rear clam has to come off when he does the work, but they have it set on there right now, just to kind of save some space. Just a Heart G BMW. These are pretty rare.
This isn't at such a high level that you couldn't buy a BMW yourself and build it to this level, but it has kind of some prestige because these guys are, they know what they're doing. Right. So, personally, I wouldn't pay the extra price to buy a Heart G BMW, but, some people who would, some clearance.
Oh, this seat's comfortable. It's a Toyota Sports 800. You don't see these very often. They're tiny cars, tiny cars. Probably weighs less than the Lotus does. Look at it in size comparison. shop. That's kind of a quick update on the Lotus. One of the bearings that we got wasn't the right fit, and so we're gonna have to wait on that, but we should be able to get it back together here in like the next week. So I'll kind of make a another video that's kind of shows the progress update on it, and hopefully we'll get it driving here before the next Cars and Coffee.